So let's talk about money. Hello, everyone. It's good to have you here again. My name is Nuhu Gaina, and this is our Daily Bread Ministries Teens podcast. And it's such an exciting day today to have you watch this particular episode. Honestly, most of us think about money. We think about money more than we care to admit. And some of us grew up hearing things like, oh, money is evil, or Christians should not care about money. Or if you want to be rich, you're worldly. And after hearing those things so many times, it's very easy for us to believe them, and without even ever asking what God actually says about money. So the real question is it wrong to want money, or is money even the real problem itself? The Bible actually gives a simple answer. Money in itself is not the enemy, but loving money can destroy a person. 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 10 says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." Now, it doesn't say that money itself is the root of all evil. It says the love of it. So when money becomes more important than God, or we equate it to God, or more important than people, or being a person of integrity, that's when it starts to damage our hearts. Look, you can have a lot of money and still honor God. And you can be broke and still worship money. The issue is not really how much you have in your bank account. The issue is who is it that really, or what is it that really sits on the throne of your heart? Let's break it down in a way that will make sense, okay? So first of all, God cares how we earn money. He cares about it. God is not against working hard. In fact, He is a creating God. The Bible opens in Genesis with God working. So God created work. Proverbs 14 verse 23 says, "In all hard work there is profit." Now this means that God blesses effort. He blesses skill. And He actually blesses honest results. When a student, for example, studies well and gives their best, God sees it. When a young person bakes and sells something honestly, when a young person starts a small business without cutting corners, right? That work is worship to God. God is honored by it. Second thing is that God blesses money earned the right way. There are really two ways people try to make money. The honest way, and then the shortcut. Scams, where you do scams and fraud and gambling and ritual, money and all of those fast money schemes. They look very easy in the moment, but they take away something very crucial from you on the inside. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 11 says, "Wealth that is gained by dishonesty will shrink, but whoever gathers little by little will increase." God would rather have you earn slowly and honestly and have your integrity intact than make actually fast rather and dirty money, because one would build your life and the other will actually destroy it or break it. Third thing I want you to know is that God wants us to be intentional in how we use our money. So when we talk about saving money, it's very crucial. Money shouldn't just disappear the moment it enters your hand. A wise person saves for the future. That's what Proverbs 21 verse 20 says. But a foolish person spends whatever they get. Does that sound familiar to you? Now, saving is not a lack of faith in God. It is actually wisdom. And God wants us to think, to plan, to prepare. So when money comes in, don't just spend everything. Save a little, plan a little, give. You're building a habit that will protect you later. And God wants us to also plan. Okay? Actually, Jesus talked about planning in Luke chapter 14, verse 28. He says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not, first of all, sit down and count the cost?" That is planning. Knowing where your money will go instead of wondering where it went. If you learn this principle very young, believe me, you will be ahead of a lot of adults who are still struggling with this idea. And fifth thing I want you to know is that God wants us to give. Money is a gift. that God gives to us when we work, and God wants us to use it to bless others as well. So when you give, you're actually telling money that you don't control me. We're breaking the hold that it has on us. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 25 says that a generous person will prosper, and whoever refreshes another will also be refreshed. So giving is not that you're losing something, you are actually planting a seed, and God sees every single act of generosity, even if it's small, as far as it comes from a heart that is generous. Another thing is that you pray before big money decisions. Some opportunities look very good on the outside, but not every door that opens comes from God. So ask Him, Lord, should I buy this? Do you want me to do this? Do I join this? Is this honest? Will this honor you? Having a conversation with God. So God cares about the details of your life, even your finances. So whatever it is that you want to do with money, make sure that you have time and talk with God, especially those major decisions in your life. So the takeaway is that money is not the enemy. It is a tool that you can use to help your family, to support God's work, start a business, support another person. Just don't let money take God's place in your heart. If money is in your hands, it's not a problem. But if it's in your heart and that's all you think about, then you're not safe. You need to be very careful. Okay? If you have been blessed by this episode, I'd like you to share it with someone. If you have a question, please drop it in the comments and we'll be sure to answer. If you have a comment, something that stood out for you, we would also like to know. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.